I woke up to the refinery glow, feeling my hands still running low. Blueprints stacked on the bench again. Every new fix just leads to 10. Walls go up, then the hunger grows. Another upgrade, another load. I built this place with my own two hands. Now it keeps asking me to stand. I'm tired, but I'm still here, counting every scrap I clear. If I keep my head on straight, it's worth it in the end. Gather the fuel at the edge of town, drag it back when the sun goes down. Research lines on a cracked up screen, chasing what this whole thing means. I upgrade one, then I need two more. That's the kind of life I can't ignore. It's frustrating, yeah, I won't pretend, but I'm not leaving this halfway built. I'm tired, but I'm still here, counting every scrap I clear. If I keep my head on straight, maybe this will turn to fate. Worth it in the end, worth it in the end. I keep on building, I keep on bending. Worth it in the end, worth it in the end. Every hard day, every slow spend, I tell myself it's worth it in the end. Someday I'll stand at the gate and see what all this grind creates. Every step, every small repair will look like a map when I get there. Worth it in the end. Ooh. Worth it in the end. I keep on building, I keep on bending. Worth it in the end, worth it in the end. I've come too far to just give in, so I keep on going, I keep believing. Down, eyes up, we came to play. One last hit, then we all say, close by close, we hold our line. Steel in the breath and fire in the mind. No empty throne, no lone wolf run. Every hard round brings us as one. Hear that shout, it rolls through the floor. One more clash, then we want more. Shoulder to shoulder, we rise in the glow. Tightest fight makes the whole room grow. Stand as one, stand as one. Close battle, still we come. Stand as one, stand as one. We fight hard, then we build this home. Stand as one, stand as one. Every hand keeps calls. We trade the scars, but we don't fall. Your name, my name, one steady flame. Across this field, we're more than a game. Stand as one, stand as one, stand as those battles till we come. Stand as one, stand as one. We fight hard, then we build this home. Stand as one, stand as one. Every hand keeps lifting someone. Stand as one, stand as one. This league is our home. This league is our soul.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Illuvium Arena House League. We have a fantastic full house essentially here today for today's action. We're going to have all three of our divisions as per usual. Carablu Cup, we've got the Lynx League, and we have the Monarch Masters, which of course is all being manually match-made, seeded by myself to try and get a lobby, a full lobby as close as possible, with matches that are with players as close as possible in terms of skill and collection level, giving us some of the best competitive Illuvium, but at the same time, also just kind of chilling. We're just having a great time. We're trying to level up our collections, trying to grow our collections, but trying to grow as one. And that's what we're going to be doing here today as we take a look and see who we even have for today's matchup. Let's hop on over in just a second's time. As soon as I find my buttons, I was hustling a little bit to say the least. I was actually, prior to getting this stream up and running, I was a little bit of a slowpoke today in getting the Illuvium House League prizes from last week out. So I do want to clarify to everybody, as of right now, everybody in terms of the Illuvial packs that were opened just on yesterday's stream, we are basically there. I didn't get the chance to do Texan yet. I had to get started streaming, and I do have community rescue points to still give out. But most of the prizes, most of the Illuvial packs were there, were loaded. We're basically there. I'll get Texan all situated right after today's stream, and the community rescue will show up tomorrow. But in terms of who we have here today, starting us off first is going to be our Carablu Cup. We have 5 players in here once again, including Awake Darkness 69, Ballistics, Ethit, Robert Tacho, and Perry from Illuvium themselves. Of course, this is the developer that's not only leading the charge in terms of Obelisk Rising, but is also taking Arena under their wing. So I'm happy to have them on to House League as well. I don't think I've ever had a staff member of any kind on House League before. I've had moderators before, sure, but not like actual staff. And we're going to see something similar happening here with the Lynx League. We do have Blazin looking for their first win. They're eager and ready to go on their first in chat as usual. Good to see you. We do have Gatling. We have G Hamster, our first time playing in a long time. Good to see them back as well. We have Illuvium Hunter. Then we have Kira and Matter One. They were in Carablu Cup last week. They have one team in particular that is so damn powerful that it overthrew the Carablu Cup lobby. We're going to see how they do today in Lynx League as well. Then I was talking about Illuvium staff, but we have Papa Duck. That is, of course, Rich. That is the community manager for Illuvium that's going to be joining us here today. Good to see them in the Lynx League. Then last but not least is going to be Mothpuck or Monster joining us here as well after a couple of fantastic finishes in Lynx League. Then last but not least, we do have the Monarch Masters main event with some of our absolute most cracked players and teams. We have Badul, we have Draknyen, Kirito Hype, Nokacho, Stota Hype, Thanatos, coming in after a win from just last week, actually, so let's see if they can do 2 in a row. Wolverine 777 Hype, and Hector going to be joining us here for the Monarch Masters. Because the way things lined up, I wasn't necessarily in a position to be able to do the bump up for this week. In the past, I'd have lobbies capped at 7 with the winner of the last match moving up. It would have felt really weird having somebody sit out and not get to play at all when somebody would get to play twice. So the bump up is going to be turned off here for today. Unless somebody no-shows, then say the winner from the last match can move up. That's what the setup we're going to do here for today. And of course, while this is kind of commentated in an esportsy style, one thing I do want to make sure that I do end up doing is, of course, talking to everybody here in the chat as well, whether it be in-game or in between games. I've got you all on the left-hand side here. Good to see you all. Blazin, Ballistics, G-Hamster, Joe's Ready, Awake Darkness, Ethit, Kirito, Sota, Axe Billionaire, and Monster. Good to see you all and everybody else hanging around as well. Here supporting Illuvium Arena House League. Absolute blessing to have you all here and be able to do this week after week. We did send off the lobby code into the Discord for Carablu Cup. I imagine we're close. Let's see, we've got 4 out of 5 here. Let's see, I've got Awake Darkness, I've got Ballistics, Ethit, Perry. I'm just missing Robert Tacho. So I'm going to quickly ping Robert Tacho one more time. Okay, there we go. We will give them about another 3 minutes or so here. So when it says 3:38 on my screen, we'll go from there. But I'm really eager just to see this one as well. Of course, if you've been joining us for the past Carablu Cups, you know the main battle that happens week in, week out has been Robert Tacho versus Ethit. Those two have essentially been trading blows in Carablu Cup since it started, to the point where they are some of the most winningest players in House League as a whole. We see Robert Tacho has the most wins of everybody as of this moment, with 8 of them. And of course, you can argue based off of division and whatnot, it is what it is. That's why I don't say the best players per se in all of Illuvium, but just the most winningest, because depending on the skill level or depending on the toughness of each lobby, the hardest lobby could be debated week in and week out. But Ethan and Robert Tacho have been battling at each other's throats for the last couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. But one thing that kind of throws things into the mix, we kind of saw it a little bit last week, was Ballistics. They came out as well with a very strong second place finish, only falling to Matter. And I would argue that Matter's heavy water team was actually probably a little bit on the overpowered side for Carablu Cup. But at the same time, it was also just very well piloted by Matter. I'm not going to take that win away from them. That was a very, very strong showing by them. So I'm curious to see what will happen here with Ballistics. And last but not least, Awake Darkness. Of course, Awake Darkness has been here for a handful of times. However, majority of the time, they've been in Lynx League. Because one thing I did not take into consideration, when Deathmatch first came out, it was hard to tell which Illuvials you were actually putting into Deathmatch itself. So a lot of people, even myself included a little bit, accidentally threw in really good Illuvials that we were using for Arena onto our deathmatch rosters and ended up killing them off. and for Awake Darkness in particular, they lost a handful of their starting rosters. So they were getting put into Lynx League based off of prior scans, and we're a little bit underpowered. So we're going to try them out here into Carablu Cup here today and see how they do that. I'd argue like that's not a maliciously trying to go down into a lower league. No, that's genuinely just mispositioning on my part. So we'll put Awake Darkness here today and see how they can do. We are about a minute out. Robert Tacho is in the Discord, so I'm just going to quickly fire them the code again. And then we'll see. As soon as I see them on my screen, I know it's go time. Yes, Max Billionaire. Thank you. You guys plug me better than I plug me. But of course, this is something we do week in, week out. I've been streaming Illuvium 5 days a week as well. This week was a little bit slow, a little bit chaotic, trying to get a roof fixed. And I imagine y'all didn't want to hear the hammering that was above my head while I'm trying to cast. So we were a little bit slow this week, but we'll be right back to the swing of things next week as well. So would absolutely mean the world to me if you could drop a like and subscribe to the channel as we get through what is a pretty quiet period for Illuvium, but it's still a very exciting point here for Illuvium. And we do have Robert Tacho here, so I am just going to ping everybody one more time, starting Good luck, have fun. And we'll fire you off, start the lobby, let's get it going. We'll be in there in just a moment's time. G-Hamster here, yeah, I burned my level 60, 90 TPI Atlas in early deathmatch. That hurts. That really hurts. Oh, Blazon's got the tinfoil hat theories in here. They just... No, I think that was just a matter of... I mean, I want to give the benefit of the doubt that that wasn't done with malicious intent. Not a chance, not a chance. I will say, deathmatch has definitely come a long way in terms of the UI side of things as well. Because you couldn't tell before what was your hollows, you couldn't tell your TPI, you couldn't tell any of that in the early stages. And it definitely hurt a handful of people, but they made the moves quickly. And at least they now have the resurrection feature, so people were able to go back in and res it, and then get it back out before they made the change where resurrecting your Illuvial locks it to deathmatch. Excuse me. I'll be just the briefest of seconds here. Loading into our game in a moment. I was hustling so much that, silly me, I didn't even have Illuvium open yet. That's okay, we get everybody loaded in nice and quickly, and then we'll be underway. Alright, all 5 are in there. There we go. Alright, let's do this thing. Okay, there we go. Game number 1 here in week 18 of Illuvium Arena House League. We've already almost hit week 20. We're on an absolute flying streak here. Time is absolutely flying. My goodness, my goodness. But here today for our Carablu Cup, our very first matchup of the day. We have 5 players looking to compete in this Carablu Cup. Of course, packs as prizes, as well as community rescue prizes all on board here for today's action. Our actual players here today, we've got returning for week number 2 here is going to be Ballistics. We have Carablu Cup regular Ethan back in action. We have Awake Darkness, their first time here in Carablu Cup, but a House League regular as well. Then we have the most winningest player in all of House League as of right now, Robert Tacho. And then the first time I've ever had a staff member on Illuvium Arena House League, we have Perry, who again is the developer for not just Obelisk Rising, but has also taken Arena under their wing since the change of Nil, for example, going over to focus strictly on Deathmatch. So it's actually kind of incredible. We'll see also Rich a little bit later on today in Lynx League action. But I'm very excited. We have a bunch of players. Again, this is the second week in a row where we've had 5 players. Carablu Cup seems to be growing, and from what the discussion seems like on the Illuvium Discord, it seems like more newcomers are actually showing up to the game. And that is absolutely incredible. I've seen some new faces on some of the comments on my videos. I've seen some new faces in the arena itself. And that's absolutely incredible. I'm very thankful to see that. Let's take a look and see what we've got weapon-wise as we watch Perry and Awake Darkness go at it in the background. For our real players here, because of course we do have 3 bots filling into this lobby as well. Not going to mention them too much unless they actually conflict in regards to what people are actually trying to build. But Ballistics picking up the Ember Bastion, that's going to be your Earth Bulwark weapon. We have Awake Darkness picking up the Sylphid Blade, potentially some mud action coming our way. Ethit with their favorites, the Galewind Bow. We see them play this basically week in, week out, and that's going to be the case here again today for this air fighter weapon with an Exalted Flish coming on through. Nice little find there for Ethit. This is our first time seeing Perry compete, of course, outside of the One Arena Dev Talk. And this time we're going to see them pick up the Elderwood Staff. That's their Nature Empath weapon. And similar scenario here for Robert Tacho. And I'm curious to see how this will go, because the last couple of weeks here for Robert Tacho, they've been really trying to do Shock. And I love Shock, don't get me wrong, but it is terrible. For the amount of effort it takes to roll early and try to actually hit those Shock Illuvials, and contesting everybody, the amount of damage you actually get from Shock is just abysmal. So, unfortunately for Robert Tacho, it took them a long time to hit those units, and then even when they did get it, the payoff just wasn't there, and it caused them to have a couple of early exits in the last couple of weeks. But in terms of this overall play style, like Robert Tacho being towards the bottom, that doesn't scare me, because I know they're probably going to play some sort of Scion corner comp, and they can make the turnaround. Let's see here. Why is my chat not messaging or managing? Oh, there it goes. It caught up now. All right. Perfect. Yeah. Weak Darkness in the chat here did explain the scenario while they came down a little bit. But that is a-okay. I believe will still be an absolute perfect fit here for Carablu Cup. That's not meant to be an insult. It's just meant to be a way to get closer matches and giving them a better shot week in and week out at some sort of fair fight. Hamster appreciating the shirt. Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate it. I try to look as best as possible. I don't like to go over the top with a suit or anything, but I'm not going to just throw on a t-shirt and cast. Unless I'm maybe doing like a 24-hour stream or something like that. But I haven't done that yet. And it would be definitely a special occasion if we could. But here we go. Perry up against Robert Tacho. We have a lot of low health bars here for Perry. But I'm looking at that Lynx actually here from Robert Tacho. Not a bad one. It's got all that attack speed. Can it get the Omega off and take care of Perry's Lynx? It's not going to be able to do so. Perry, with that level advantage, it's going to get just enough of an advantage to knock out Robert Tacho a little bit lower into the 70s. The one thing I did not mention, of course, was the region that we're playing in today. That's going to be Brightland Steppes. You can see the awesome view of Brightland Steppes here on the battle board itself. I cannot wait to actually start traversing it again once Obelisk Rising comes on out. I do believe this is one of the first areas, at least based off the playtest. That's where we got to play right off the rip. Look forward to returning there, and the more health you lose, the more credits you get, but obviously that is a very dangerous game to play. Ethan versus Robert Tacho, the tried and true Carablu Cup battle over the last couple of months. Ethan does have a 2-level advantage here on the Robert Tacho, so I imagine this is going to be quick work here, and that's a lot of damage coming out here from Robert Tacho already. 62 currently. Usually, I would say that you're probably in trouble if you are below 50, or like if you're in the 50s by round 10. Well, you're basically right there, but I imagine Robert Tacho going to hit the gas sometime soon here. We do see a couple of those corner comp Illuvials, heck, even some Monkeers going to be joining the squad. Now, I'm trying to see what our next player versus player battle is. It's actually going to be Ethan versus Perry. So Ethan with a very fast dust start here as well. Going to have the 3 air alongside the dust here with that Revo. The Revo loaded up with that Precise Force Reactor. Going to kind of play on some of those rogue tendencies and try to hit some additional crits. See if they can really flip that battle. Meanwhile, on the side of Perry, what are they cooking here? We see the Archos coming on through. The Toxic is enabled thanks to this Caradulo coming on through here from Perry. The decent levels, and honestly, a little bit of a high damage Caradulo at that. It's going to eventually start falling, but this is still the level advantage here in the favor of Ethit. And it looks like they're going to slowly but surely be able to chip away here. The 2 Rogues alongside the 2 Scions in the back line. Just absolutely doing work here. Ethan off to a very strong start in this Carablu Cup matchup. Perry versus Ballistics. Ballistics has not lost a single round as of yet. A very fast Granite actually coming on through, it looks like. Where is that snail? There it is. Beautiful hollowed out one at that. Level 53. Very high powered one here for the Carablu Cup. Nice find there for ballistics. Similar nature here for this Caradulo. Damn, a couple of sneaky high level Illuvials sneaking on into the matchup here. But they're the big tank line. Of course, the firepower from that snail is going to be tough as well. I'm curious as to Perry's positioning, oddly enough, here with this squad. Okay, you can't see my mouse? You can see my mouse. Yeah, because with the Archos, of course, you get that as centered as possible into your team composition. Get that root, get that heal. But with the current positioning of not just the Archos, but the Ranger as well, the Illuvials, the players on their team, is actually running away from the healer. The heals from the Archos just aren't going to be coming on through, and because of that, it's going to be very, very quick work. Ballistics did have the level advantage as well, so I'll keep that in mind too. But unfortunately, just the team coming out here for Perry, the positioning not necessarily utilizing them 100%. Kevin Hawthorne, good to see ya. Hope you're having a fantastic day. There's Rich. When do I get wrecked? Have some confidence, my friend. Where's that delusional positivity or delusional optimism that you always talk about? But I'll be sending the code for the Lynx League right after this, so that'll be probably about maybe 10, 15 minutes. Good to see you, Rich. Hope all's going well. All right, let's take a look at the economy side of things here for our players here today. Awake Darkness sitting very pretty, actually. 81 credits still in the bank. Ethit, Perry, both in fantastic positions as well. Maximum amount of economy. Same thing with Robert Tacho. Everybody's learning here. Everybody's got their max economy and not necessarily spending too heavily, with the exception of ballistics, but it looks like that's the intention. Try to get a big lead and then see where you can get from there, even if you're getting a little bit less interest over time. Oh dear, oh dear. Can't see Rich's chat or messages in chat. Wonder if it's due to the username. Well, how do you know that he's actually talking then, I wonder? Axe, thank you once again. Hector, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Looking forward to seeing you in action in a little bit later on. And now we'll take a look here with Robert Tacho. They have the absolute monstrosity that is this Exalted Monk here, loaded up with augments as well. This monk here should hit like a truck. It's just a matter of keeping it protected. It does have that phase breaker, so it can at least break targetability at least once. But is that going to be enough time to actually crack this front line of ballistics? We do see that awesome Furiox down in the corner, just opening fire, and that is not going to be enough time. So Robert Tacho again going to be taking the hit. Ballistics keeps this win streak alive. Absolutely on fire here in this matchup so far. Now it's going to be Awake Darkness versus Perry. Let's take a look at this one. You guys are funny in chat, I swear to God. All right, let's see how this goes here for Awake Darkness. First and foremost, obligatory, hello, beautiful, relentless Floor Lynx coming on through here from Awake Darkness, and that be a tanky fella at that. It might be a fighter, but with it being the nature version, it can absolutely tank a ton of damage, and Lynxes as well, in one of the latest patches, actually have some sort of scaling into the late game now. Every single time they use their Omega, depending on what nature it is, or what, not nature, what affinity it is, there is a bonus attached to it. So with it being a nature Lynx this time by, or a floor Lynx, every single time an Omega comes through, that is going to be additional healing over time. But Perry has this corner comp pretty locked down. The Archos and the Fern and that Ranger doing a solid job, but the tank line has fallen. It's going to come down all to the Lynx to try and have to carry this fight, but it's going to get rooted up. It's still in position, actually, to take care of the Archos, and as the Ranger and the Fern chop them down, the Lynx will eventually fall. It held the line for so long, but Perry going to stop the bleeding here and get a win. You've been watching an old live stream for over an hour. That's actually kind of awesome, as long as you didn't think it was the live version. But of course, that's the beautiful thing here with YouTube. Immediately once the stream is done, it is there forever. By all means, watch it back or catch back up, whatever you wish to do. One thing that's going to be a little bit rough here is for Robert Tacho, though. They are also essentially on death's door now. 17 HP and a dream. They have the Chicondi, which is an unusual carry of sorts, to try and maybe clutch us up. It is a 2-on-1 against it, though, so that is going to be tough. Can that Monk here clean things up? It gets through the mule really quick, but now it's going to start tackling onto this Flora Lynx, which is going to be a little bit tougher to actually pull off. The Lynx going to be carrying in terms of damage as right now for Awake Darkness, but actually it does look like Robert Tacho just has enough. The Carablu as well coming on through to help lead the charge. So there we go. Finally, here for Robert Tacho, they're going to be able to pull one through, stop the bleeding right when it matters most, when they're essentially on death's door. We're going to stick along with them, though, because in a worst-case scenario, that very well could be the end of the road here for Robert Tacho. Let's take a look around at the rest of the matchup as well while this is going on. Ethid, Ethid's feeling comfortable. This is what we see from Ethid every single time they feel like they have the hand or the handle on this matchup, where they load up with so much credits, it's insanity. 124 still to go. They're not necessarily destroying this lobby by any means. They're still second, but that's a lot of credits in the bank. But how about here for Robert Tacho? Can this Aegis team, this Aegis buff Monk here, potentially break this corner? Perry's got, again, this corner on lock. That shield from the Ranger going to be able to stop at least or help 3 of those Illuvials. The Carablu held the line for a very long time, but one thing that's a little bit unfortunate here for Robert Tacho is the Monk here has already fallen, which does mean the rest of the swarm from Perry is going to come on through. Is that going to be the kill shot here onto Robert Tacho? Based off that drone animation, I think that is it. We are going to lose Robert Tacho very early into this one for, unfortunately, the 3rd week in a row. But I do like that they're trying different teams here, so I'll absolutely always give them credit. And of course, regardless of where you finish, I do hope you have fun no matter what. While there is some prizes involved, while there is, of course, the Illuvials on the line, this is kind of meant to be everybody's like step in the door for like a semi-competitive scene. We don't go super like crazy competitive here, but we do at least try to welcome everybody, give everybody that experience. So even when things don't go their way, it's a-okay. And at the end of the day, this was also free to enter. So can try again next week. And I'm sure Robert Tacho will have something new cooked or a refined version of this one cooked sometime in the near future. Looking forward to it. I need Ethid to do my taxes. Well, let's see, how fast do they spend? No, they don't spend a whole heck of a lot. They're looking pretty good, actually. Let's hop on over. Are they playing a bot? Oh, they're playing Awake Darkness, actually. Or are they playing the Ghost? Looks like a Ghost. Ballistics versus Perry? Ballistics versus Perry. Let's hop here for a second. Okay, Perry, I see what you got here. Look at this big guy. Gnarl in the play with almost maxed out Omega power, so those vines from the Underroot are going to actually hurt pretty badly, and it's got loaded up on HP, which that's actually kind of incredible. So we're going to now add Verdant into the squad. Ballistics, though, has still not been taken down just yet. This toxic squad, it's like a bunker composition, but yet the Ranger's a rogue. That is a very interesting way to do it. So let's see how it goes here as this Furiox just going to continue to open fire in the back line, loaded up on attack speed, but there is no sort of percent health damage. So I wonder how it's going to do up against this Gnarl, especially once that Verdant Puddle comes on through. It did have the Phase Breaker too to allow for additional time to be bought, while Perry has defense. The problem is there's just no offense here onto the squad here for Perry. So the rest of this back line, here comes the TNT shots as well, going to absolutely assist with that Polar Bear and that Scarab, or not Scarab, it's a Goliath now in the front lines here for Ballistics. A very tough team to have to beat. They are in the driver's seat 100%. Keeping an eye on Ethid as they continue to hoard up a bunch of coins. They have basically 2 more lives left in the tank. Perry, Awake Darkness, all probably have about 2 lives left in the tank. So Ballistics in a very, very good spot. One thing that's going to be a very much of a pain here for Ballistics, though, is the fact that the bot picked up a Furiox as well. Trying to get a Scoriox is going to be a challenge. Awake Darkness did make a couple all-in moves here. Ethid even making a big move as well. We see the Tibiruko coming on through. But let's look as both Awake Darkness and Ballistics has spent the bank to put this one together. Ballistics Your drone is right in the middle of the league. Oh, it's not gonna let me move it. Dang it. Okay, let's see the two polar bears in action down in the bottom corner. If that polar bear manages to sneak on through into that back line, that could be troublesome, but a fantastic defense coming on through here from Ballistics. Their polar bear was able to win that one, and with that, they're going to be able to clean on through. Ballistics in the driver's seat, as I was mentioning before, has not dropped a single round so far here in this match. Awake Darkness now down to 16, so they are in a potential kill position if Perry can get the final blow. The big defense is going to come on through once again. Big old Blotto coming on through here from Perry. So two of the biggest tanks, or some of the biggest tanks that you can get in the game. But in regards to damage, it is all relying on this little Riptorus to try and pull on through. And I say little, but level 43, that's a pretty solid Riptorus, all things considered. And then the Fernite in the background. That is a pretty low DPS squad as of this moment, with the exception of the Stinger Omega coming out from the Riptorus. But can it actually stay safe when Awake Darkness, for example, has a damn Forest ready to play? Let's get a better angle on this. That was a beautiful Malura coming on through here from Awake Darkness as well. I didn't even see that, just essentially chunked half of that corner composition. And Awake Darkness at Forest has a decent angle. Those Ghosting Screams should be able to hit the back line to at least put some pressure on. But this is, again, a very beefy squad. The Verdant coming on through here from the Gnarl is finally just being popped. How about that Jokul up in the top? If it can manage to kill off this Archos, that would be huge. Bloom is proccing here for the side of Wake Darkness as well. But look at that. This tanky team from Perry is not going to go down without a fight. Big defense coming out here from Perry, and that's going to knock Awake Darkness out of here in 4th place. GG's nonetheless, regardless of your results, Awake Darkness. That was an absolute monstrosity of a corner comp that we're seeing here from Perry. Absolutely crazy stuff coming on through, but now we get to see Perry versus Ballistics. Can our developer, staff member here for Illuvium, potentially shut down this perfect run here from Ballistics? Lalura should have a pretty decent spot. It is parked directly next to the Furiox up in this corner. There comes the first shot, a good chunk of about a quarter of their HP off of that first, off the blender. I can't remember what it's actually called, but the Lalura is still doing a decent amount of a job trying to distract. The Riptorus here from Perry is trying to chew through some of these tanks, but it is being focused by the Furiox. There is no phase breaker here, so this is going to be a sitting duck of the Riptorus, and it's going to go down rather quickly. And with the Furiox still alive, getting essentially all the time in the world to just open fire onto that Gnarl, we're going to see a big hit, I think, from Ballistics onto Perry. They have the level advantage as well, so this should, in theory, be a ton of damage. Let's see how it ends up going. From 31 down to 11. One more life here for Perry. But we get to slow it down here for an NPC round before anything happens here. But with that, not only is this going to be our first time that we have a Illuvium staff member on Illuvium Arena House League, but this will also be the first time where they're actually in the prizes. Perry making it onto the podium no matter what here means there are going to be a couple of prizes going their way, at least one pack, and then depending on where they end up finishing, we'll see some community rescue prizing going their way here as well. So crazy job here from Perry. It's not bad for literally like 10 minutes before we went live signing up for this one. Okay, 60 credits onto a couple players. Let's see what our actual in-player battle is. It would end up being Ballistics versus Ethit. Perry is going up against the Ghost of Ethit. So I'll hover over here for a second, then I'll flip back over to Perry. A Forest coming here from Perry is a nice little bit of additional damage because they were very, very close to getting a couple of these fights, but again, just didn't have damage. They had all the tankiness in the world. They survived a very long time. How about for Ballistics and Ethit? Ramp fights coming on through. We have legendary augments in the last possible moment as well coming on through. Oh, look at this as well, the Nova Heart. If this Gnarl gets into a good spot, it's going to essentially not die at all. And if that Verdant procs, it will heal an absolute ridiculous amount of health but we have to see with the damage on the side of Perry's team. The Forest is currently being whacked around and has no phase breaker to try and stop it, but the ghosting screams. Can it actually get a decent shot? That first one was pretty decent, and now can that Gnarl get past the bird? This is what I keep talking about, this damn Forest running past the tanks and getting hit. It's not going to matter. They shall survive. And now Ethet could not get the win onto Ballistics, which means they're going to be down to 6 HP. Level 10 now here for Ethet. We have the potential for 2 knockouts, depending on how this matchup goes, but it depends on if they can stop this perfect run from Ballistics. What have they even have in the bench for a potential upgrade? I see the remnants of potentially a Rip Lance, but really there's no big upgrade I feel like that Ballistics can go for. Perry, on the other hand, is 1 Fern away from finding Blazonite. But of course, Ballistics has a couple of Ferns for themselves. It is going to be a very, very close finish to this one. Ballistics on an absolute roll, but can Perry stop this ramp fight from going absolutely crazy? Of course, Gnarl is not going to move very quickly, but that's actually a very dangerous spot for a ramp fight to be. Directly in the corner is going to chunk them to about half, but there is a lot of passive healing onto this team, so they actually shrug it off rather nicely. Forest is in a pretty decent spot. It's not getting completely focused just yet, but now the Furiox, it has it locked in its sights. So does the Riptorus. Can that big stinger finish this thing off? Nope, but there is a phase breaker coming on through here now for Perry's Forest. It is going to survive just a little bit longer, but now this is troublesome. It's again, the damn bird ran in front of the tanks. So now it's up to the Gnarl. It's up to this back line. They slowly but surely going through. Big twist wing coming out from Perry's Fernite as well. The Gnarl in their face. It's got thorns. It's got healing. But does it have the damage? I think the overtime pulses are going to come in for the assist. This will not be a perfect game at all for Ballistics. A big win for Perry. And unfortunately, we could not necessarily see it on screen, but we do lose Ethet here as well. GG's Ethet. Congratulations on the 3rd place finish. That is going to be some prizes coming your way. And of course, the beautiful thing about Carablu Cup as well, and one thing that's being implemented into Lynx League at the exact same time, anybody who joins gets at least something from the community rescue. I want to make sure that, yeah, you're joining for free, but I want to make sure that you're growing your collection one way or another. So even if you got 4th or 5th, there's something going to be coming your way. We see if Ballistics makes the adjustments necessary to be able to beat this team before the overtime pulses come on through. Blazonite coming on through here from Perry. That was a big upgrade. But what about everything else? Can the TNT... I mean, the TNT, it's got a bunch of burst damage, but Gnarl doesn't care. Unless you can truly burst it, which bursting a Gnarl is so damn difficult. Forest in a pretty decent spot as of this moment. It's right on the remnants of that verdant puddle. So it is healing alongside the passive nature healing at the same time. This is looking actually really good here for Perry. They're on top of the Furiox. They get the job done. They're on top of it. Ballistics level 10. What could they do? Perry might have just found the answer. All right, Ballistics, let's hop on over from your point of view here and see what we've got cooking. There are 10 credits in the bank. That is not a lot to work with, unfortunately. The little Archie coming on through to at least try and stop this Allura is not a bad idea. Maybe give your Furiox a little bit more time. You can see they're trying to make a couple position adjustments. Oh, get double the firepower. I'm not going to lie, I don't mind that idea. Double Furiox all the way. Try and shred that Gnarl, shred these tanks. And there is... Wait a second. There's true sights, but it's not necessarily onto any of the Furioxes. I think I might have found out what's been going on, but let's take a look. The ramp fight is going to absolutely misfire, an absolute nightmare scenario here for Ballistics. The Gnarl doing a solid job here from Perry, directly in the middle with that Forest online. Ramp fight going to try and get maybe one more shot into this one, but I don't think it's going to be able to do so. Forest is in the back line doing work, and Perry might be able to bring this to a 100-0 if Ballistics doesn't have an answer. But here's a fantastic opportunity. Breathe a moment. NPC round. And I'll say first and foremost here for Ballistics, one thing that I noticed for whatever reason, I think it's the Ranger suit. Here it is. Getting the Hunter's Precision. True sight. it was going to the TNT instead of the Furiox. And of course, with a Blotto, it doesn't matter how far away you are when hitting a Blotto with its Omega on, you will get blinded. Get that True Sight onto a Furiox. TNT's damage only comes from an Omega. One of those Furioxes. Give them the True Sight. Even the Hollow one, actually, a very nice one as well. Normally you see the second version of an Illuvial, and it's much, much weaker, but no, this one's actually a very good one coming out here from Ballistics. But yeah, this is going to be the biggest thing, in my opinion, here. Get that Ranger onto the Furiox. How about here on the side of Perry? Some big credits coming on through. Perry's going to get up to level 9. Okay, that's a big upgrade coming on through here for Ballistics. Scoriox is here. Download complete. It's ready to rock. Essentially fresh out of the Illuvidex, it looks like, but it is a very tough one at that. Perry using everything they have in their power to be able to add one more Illuvial onto the field. It looks like the Ador has come out to play. Considering this thing does healing based off of your Illuvial's health, or health off max health, rather. Percentage of health? You know what I mean. Big heals onto a Gnarl would be absolutely incredible. But this brings it to 7 nature here for Perry compared to the heavy toxic with Granite. Where's the True Sight? The True Sight this time is onto the Scoriox. That's exactly where it needs to be. They've opened fire on that Carablu, got it down very quickly. Ramp Fight does a decent amount of damage, but it went to the Gnarl. The Gnarl does have that Burden procced, and it's barely going to be able to hang on, it looks like. Where's the Ador heals? Can they keep the big beast alive? I'm not sure if it's going to be able to do so, and if that Gnarl goes down, it could be too little too late. There's a lot of passive healing coming out here from that 7 nature, and it looks like it is going to be just enough. Perry is going to end up winning this round once that backline has something to say about it, but Ballistics is not done just yet. One more time. Final round. Can Perry, the developer of Illuvium, Obelisk Rising, and now taking over Arena as well, can they get the reverse 100-0 full kill onto Ballistics? Or can Ballistics shut things down? I have another idea in mind, but at the same time, I don't necessarily want to coach too hard. I want to see these two players at their best at this very last possible moment. We have double ramp fights. We had double Furioxes in at some point. I think Hector kind of knows what I'm talking about. They're bringing it up in the chat. We'll have to see how this goes. One more fight to determine this entire Carablu Cup matchup. Forrest is in a little bit of an awkward spot. Heck, a Sinolf is coming on through here now from Ballistics. With them all clumped up like that, the Fernite plus Sinolf is a lot of AoE damage. Same thing here with the ramp fight. But how about this shot directly into the Forest? But the Forest is healing pretty decently. It's already used its phase breaker. It's into the back lines. And that will be it. Perry, on their very first appearance in the Illuvium Arena House League, will take the win in Carablu Cup. Congratulations. What a way to start off the day. Fantastic battle between everybody into this one. But to go over our final results, Perry is going to end up getting the win with a very strong, heavy nature, big tank squad with a little bit of Wildfire and Verdant on top of that. Going to be the win. Ballistics, it might say the Verdant Cleaver, but that was a corner comp, a little bit of everything. A very strong performance here from Ballistics as well in second place. We have Ethan coming on through. They're tried and true. Going to get all the way up to third. Our fourth place player is going to be Awake Darkness with a very interesting mixture of fighters and rogues into this one. It's like Berserker Vanguard. You don't see that too often. Going to come in fourth. And then Robert Tacho, a mixture of some of these very high evolution, or excuse me, these tier 1s, but fully evolved. It's an interesting mix, but could not stay alive long enough to truly see it shine. So GG's everybody nonetheless. That was an absolutely crazy battle. And this is also the opportunity as well. Like, this is meant to be like a learning experience at the exact same time. And I think Ballistics might have kind of caught on to what we were talking about a little bit earlier. When the Scoriox came around, 100% just take this off the Jokel. Maybe even the Charge Force Reactor off of the ramp fight. Get the Scoriox to be the main heavy hitter, so to speak. And I think that probably would have done it. Or at least done better. It wouldn't have been a guarantee. There's a chance that Perry still takes out 100%. but the Scoriox would have had a little bit more of a fighting chance. Easy to spot as a spectator, hard to know when playing, 100%. As somebody who is always on the casting side of the competition, that is exactly why. I can absolutely... I mean, you see when I play on stream, for with Illuvium games, how many times do I keep saying that I have to do this, this, and this, maybe do one of them and completely forget the rest? It is so easy to do. But that was an absolute incredible first matchup here for Carablu Cup. Congratulations, everybody. Hope you had fun no matter what. Let me get that all documented here as well. Okay, there we are. Flashbang. Okay. Harry will go there. Then that was ballistics. Oh, cap lock. Then we had E6, Awake Darkness, and Robert Tacho. Okay. And one thing we can also do, and throw Perry over here, get a +1 next to your name. You are now a winner in House League. Congratulations. There we go. Perfect. Okay, next up we are going to be getting on into our Lynx League matchup. One thing that was brought to my attention was that Illuvium Hunter, of course last week's winner, is currently in the midst of a power outage, so they're not going to be able to compete here in the Lynx League. So I can actually have the bump up. Perry, if you would like to play again and get the bump up into the Lynx League, you absolutely can. Here, do I have you on? That's absolutely outrageous. You weren't on that list. There, I put you there. I have it documented on my prize sheet, just for whatever reason not on that list. I will absolutely fix that. Thank you, Kirito, for pointing that out. And it looks like we've got the AOK. Perry will take the bump into the Lynx League, so we'll have them play again. Which means we're going to have Perry versus Rich at some point in this matchup. That'll be funny. Let's get the lobby going. I'm going to build it right now. Okay, Lynx League lobby code. Okay, so this has Perry in it. Rich. We have... Wait for it. Blazin. Gatling. Kira. Matter. Monster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Who am I forgetting? G Hamster. There you are. The gift is literally playing right here in front of me. How am I forgetting G Hamster? All right, there we go. Okay, monitor the lobby, and we'll be basically situated here. All right, cool. Of course, this is going to be the first time we get to see Rich in action here in the Illuvium Arena House League as well. I like the name change over to Papa Duck. You sometimes see in the Discord, I don't know if it's not a duck farm, but I think it's a dedicated duck pond that Rich has in their backyard or something along those lines. And it's very, very cute to see all the ducks. So Papa Duck coming on through. Having the Fur Knight as the profile picture is perfect as well. I absolutely love it. All right, confirming. So Gatling, Kira, Monster, Blazin, Papa Duck, Matter One, Perry, G Hamster. Everybody is here. So let's get on into the battle. We'll start it off right away. Yes, you have 10 ducks. Jeez, okay. That's awesome. Perfect. We'll give them just a moment of time to load into the game. And I realized, silly me, I'm not even suited up properly. What I personally love to do is make sure that I'm always looking as close to my actual in real life self. So if I'm wearing red, we'll get as close to that as we can. There we go. And one thing, since I have Perry here, not to call you out or anything, but can I please use my Lynx skins and my Wave 5 battle board sometime soon? Please. I'm just playing around, unless... No. Alright. Getting on into this in just a sec. Everybody's in. I don't see any bots in the lobby, so all good to go. Loading in now. Perfect. All right, match number 2 of the day. It's going to be in the Lynx League. Some of our veterans that are just right on the cusp of having either a full collection or breaking on into that 50, 55 plus as of an average Illuvial or average Illuvials level. That's what we have here in the Lynx League. Here in this matchup today, we do have Perry, again, after winning the Carablu Cup, making their way into this Lynx League match. We have Blazin looking for their first. They've come incredibly close a couple times. Let's see how it goes. We've got Papa Duck, Rich, our community manager, going to be joining us here in today's matchup. We have Gatling coming on through, looking for a couple of podiums in a row if they could keep this up. We have Kira, after a fantastic showing in the Carablu Cup last week, got the graduation nice and quick, going up into the Lynx League. We have G Hamster hype coming on through. This is the first time we've seen G Hamster in a good while. Looking forward to seeing them in action here today. We've got Moth Puck or Monster from Mad Dogs coming on through. And then similar to what we saw with Kira, Matter One coming on through here in the Lynx League here today after winning Carablu Cup in a landslide essentially last week, playing their 8 water build. I'm curious if we're going to see that come out once again. It kind of looks like they're set up for it already. And with that Ripple Flail in hand, looks like that's exactly where they're going. The region here for today, you might have already noticed that we've got legendary augments already in action. Shard Bluff is treating us to some chaos here today. Weapon-wise, let's take a look what everybody's got going on as Perry and Blazin take to the battlefield. Gatling with the Ripple Flail, that's your water bulwark weapon. Same thing with Kira and Matter One. So 3 Ripple Flails in all. We do have a lot more water where that came from. Perry with the Aqua Blaster. Monster with the Tidal Shiv. That's going to be 5 out of 8 here, all going for water. Rich, Papa Duck, going to be picking up the Sprout Guard. That's the Earth Scion weapon. Then Blazin, picking up the Lava Gauntlet. That's your Fire Scion weapon. And then G Hamster has the Flame Warden Staff, the Fire Empath weapon. So this is what's kind of been a little bit interesting over the last couple of weeks. I don't know what it is about water. Actually, I kind of know what it is about water. Just for whatever reason, it's a very consistent team overall here as of late. Tsunami Harbinger, I believe, is, if we went to the Ratty data from Don Daddy Ratty, is basically the most winningest team in the latest patch. But I'm struggling to figure out if that is due to just Tsunami by itself, or if it has something to do with Tsunami chips. Because I believe that, say, the Axodon and the Flood and the Geyser, like, they do a decent job with Tsunami, but if you put a Tsunami chip on literally any damage alluvial, then things get stupid. It's really, really fun. But say having enough Fisto casting off lightning every 5 seconds or so, it can be really crazy. And then even throwing that thing onto an Umber, that can be very scary as well. So I wonder if a lot of people are chasing it, but at the same time, an 8-water build for some of our long-term players that have been around for a while, when the meta gets into this position like we see right now, where people are still trying to figure it out, so to speak, it usually means that a lot of players kind of fall into the same 3 or 4 builds. Either Inferno Arcanite, Rogue Revenant, or Rogue Vanguard, or Heavy Water, Steam, or Steam Harbinger, or now, as we're seeing here, Tsunami Harbinger. So I don't know if it's necessarily due to it being the best team overall, or if it's just the team that everybody's most comfortable with and has leveled. That, of course, is the interesting little mix-up about Illuvium, because the top teams might not necessarily be the best team, but it's what everybody has leveled, so it's the best way to go for them in this instance. We're going to hit the NPC round and take a look what everybody's been doing economy-wise. Kira and Matter, they're playing the exact same way that they did with the Carablu Cup, where they essentially see credits, delete credits, spend credits immediately for an extremely hyperactive early game. But the thing is that a lot of these players are pretty good at defending against that, and it's going to leave them with about a loss for each of them respectively. Yeah, unfortunately, we were supposed to have Illuvium Hunter into this match, but they did experience a power outage right as the match was about to start. They gave us the heads up, so we did the call-up, so it all worked out in the end. But unfortunate not to see Illuvium Hunter here today, but I'm sure we'll see him again sometime very, very soon. Let's see, Mothpuck and Kira. Let's take a look. So, Kira with the Infinity Core. This thing used to be stupid, if you remember back when Omegas can crit with this. That was hilarious. For a little bit, until you put it onto a ramp fight and blew up my corner, then I start crying. But that's not the case anymore. It's a lot of Omega power alongside some crit, so throwing this onto the Axon is going to make these shields absolutely humongous even early, but there is no Harbinger currently online here for Kira, so they're going to miss out on that one. Mothpuck, or Monster in this instance, has the 4 Rogues plus Predator, so if they can get some of these HP bars low, they do have the assassination possibilities. And look at that. In fact, it's going to be the Berserker's Flurry onto the Chikoro, actually. A beautiful level 60 Chikoro. You never usually see these things really leveled up that heavily, but there you go. The Drop Bear coming on through for a big win for Monster. Let's take a look and see what Rich is up to. So they've got currently a setup for potentially Granite and Invoker. However, of course, both of those very difficult to get. We got to at least get the TNT online, and then that Granite will be right around the corner. But they're currently going up against Blazin. Blazin leading this lobby, has not taken a loss at all. TNT is here, though, for Rich right in the last possible second. A nice little pickup. And a nice TNT as well, just missing some Omega power, and unfortunately just missing some levels. Level 28 here onto this TNT. Of course, lots of stats still left on the table, but this works out. Of course, you do get experience from competing into House League, and with that, the tank line just absolutely evaporated, and then as soon as those rogues and these fighters get onto the TNT, I mean, it could hold the line for a little bit, but it's not going to be able to hold on forever, unfortunately, here for Rich, so they're going to take a significant amount of damage early into this one. Archos is here, though. There we go. A nice Dark Hollow one at that. Oh, I got to see a better look at this. Oh. It's not a Lynx, but hello, beautiful. Of course, those who've been watching around know that, of course, Archie or Archos was the first Illuvial I've ever caught. So I am an absolute sucker for a beautiful, beautiful turtle. Then Gatling coming on through here, going for the Lynxes. Okay, we see the Arcane Lynx coming on through. This could actually be really problematic based off of Papa Duck's current setup, because that Lynx has the lineup for maybe a multi-hit on this shot. Look as it comes on through. Sonic boom right through all 3 of them. The tank line's all getting completely smoked, which is going to open up the door here for this little Tatopi and the Ador in the back line and just start opening fire. Another second beautiful shot coming out here from that Arcane Lynx. The heady falls. Good root coming out here from the Archos, though. Does get at least one of those Illuvials off the field. But now that this turtle has gone down, that snail is not going to be long for this world. They'll be going down this time by Perry and Rich, both towards the bottom as this one We saw how Rich did versus Gatling. Let's see now how Perry does versus it. We're going to see a weapon switch. A wise choice, I think, considering the amount of water that we are seeing. But at the same time, you don't necessarily have to pivot too hard with this. You can still have a ton of water units and have a grass weapon and still go the toxic route. Gonna try and line things up, I imagine, but here comes Gatling. They did pick up a nice little fellow over here, though. This dash now has an absolute beautiful amount of stats here, just missing some Omega power, and then it's essentially perfect. Level 54 onto that little dash. That's actually incredible. Nice find here for Gatling. But can Perry hold the line versus this? It dives on through. It's going to be up to this little Archie to try to hold the line. Poor little baby Archie's going to end up getting shredded, but at least the Arcane Lynx did not have as much of a field day this time by. The second shot is going to be an air ball, but how about the dash in the corner here? This is the one I'm kind of concerned about. The Lynx trying to turn and burn, but the tank line has fallen here for Perry, so we're going to see some big damage coming on through once again. That is a lot of Illuvials still left on the field. So an NPC round as we get into essentially the halfway point here into this game. Again, everybody for Monarch Masters, get ready. Your match is going to be right after this one. We have a full lobby of 8 of yous. Looking forward to see it. No Cacho also mentioned that they might not be available. So whoever ends up winning this lobby, or if you played in this lobby as well, please do stick around and keep your game open, because in a worst case scenario where somebody no-shows, I'll be gladly pulling from the Lynx League lobby to try and fill that lobby. So do keep that in mind. We kind of touched on the legendary augments, but I didn't necessarily go through all of them. Let's start at the top here, where it's going to be the Berserker's Flurry onto the Lynx here from Blazin. That's a fantastic start, but considering that this fire-based team that Blazin's going for is going to rely on Furiox, you don't necessarily need that extra range. So that is going to be... I mean, you can put it into the actual corner instead. We'll probably still make that work. We'll see how it goes. Berserker's Flurry as well here for Moth Puck. We saw it onto that Chikoro. How about next? We do see the legendary Transcendent Relic, where you're able to get a bunch of HP, damage resistance, and health. That's going to be a nice one. We talked about the Infinity Core for Kira. We didn't talk about the Adaptive Plating here for Matter, making that Axon an absolute menace. Another Infinity Core. We saw that earlier. The Inner Limit Breaker here for Perry, and then last but not least, it was the Arcane Conduit there for Papa Duck. But one thing that did also just pop up is not only do we have legendary augments here this time, we also have composite chips. So if anybody was pushing Tsunami, and they got a Tsunami chip, dear God, this is going to be crazy. I'm getting word from the chat here that Nocacho is ready, so they are good to go. Okay, so perfect. That works out here is Blazin, appropriate to the name, Inferno Imprint online, 6 Fire Inferno. While everybody else is going water, it's scary, but it could work. Want to ride along with Papa Duck, who actually has a Harbinger Imprint. It's onto the Alfie, so as long as it can stay alive after taking at least a little bit of damage, that will be a ton of single, or not single target, but just straight line AoE going from here directly into that TNT. But with all these rogues diving on through, trying to get that beam, getting the Devouring Stream onto some of the high damage targets is going to be very difficult. Perry did get the Toxic Imprint, potentially 4 Toxic here today, if things all go their way. And then Matter 1 also has a Harbinger Imprint. It's onto the Revo. And I've seen, even though Matter 1 does really like their water team, they're not afraid to use Revo very, very early. I know there's been many times on Ranked where I'm trying to go for Gyro, and sure enough, Matter 1 has a couple of the Rotas that I'm looking for. But in this first battle here, looking at that Jotun, or not the Jotun, but the Jokul, it just absolutely devours the poor little Pistol Shrimp for breakfast, and the rest of the team, unfortunately, is going to just be short to follow from there. Rich is going to be down to 3 HP in a dream here into this one. Perry did go down. Is there any other matches online? Does not necessarily look like it. Let's see if we can take a look at some of these other imprints coming on through. That's going to be Aegis coming on through here for Gatling. We do again have the Harbinger there for Matter 1. G Hamster Aegis imprint online. Here, what do you got here? A Mud imprint, actually. Oh, that's a little unfortunate given the team comp they've got going on here. Blazing, we saw the Inferno. And then Monster has Steam online, so interesting to see. We now have, oh dear, Rich is hanging on for their life, and they're going up against Monster, who is leading this lobby. Let's see how they can hold. The double mammoths are coming on through to try and just send everybody flying. But the thing is the Ranger, oddly enough, is the big threat here. It does not care about what's on the back line or what you're protecting. It always finds a way to just slip in and do a beautiful assassination. And that's exactly what we're going to see here. A steam-boosted Predator Ranger coming on through, some big execution damage. Will knock Rich out of this one here. Papa Duck gonna unfortunately be out of here in 8th place. But Rich, I'm super thankful that you did get the opportunity to join us here today. And I hope you're having fun regardless of what the results say. And would love to have you back again sometime soon. And even if you're just hanging out in chat. A bunch of cheaters. Oh. Oh dear. Alright. Perry versus Kira up next here. At round 16, I don't think this would be a kill shot if things didn't go Perry's way. So we got a little bit of something cooking up here. This is 4 toxic 6 nature, so there's a lot of damage over time and just healing over time coming out here from the squad with a lot of emphasis onto this foe to be the carry. They do also have a Riptor who's doing a pretty decent job, but I'm looking on the other side here for the side of Kira. We do have that Riptor at the top of the legendary augment. It will get shredded. But there is still in the back line. We see that stab end coming on through, but it's being held off rather nicely by the Twine. With that and the rest of these units coming on through, Perry is going to stop the bleeding and get the win there. How about Matter 1 and Gatling? This battle's still very close as well. Matter 1 super close to getting the turnaround here, but Gatling going to shut them down, get the kill onto the TNT, keep themselves in the game as Blazin, looking for their first win here in Illuvium Arena House League, is in the lead with a ton of credits right now. So looking pretty good in that regard, but of course with it being a very heavily fire-based team here for Blazin, one thing that doesn't get talked about anywhere near enough is of course the hyper system, the actual having certain elements being strong against other elements. And with there being a lot of water currently in the game right now, that could cause Blazin potentially some trouble a little bit later on. The biggest threat, at least if I was going to try and make a guess as of right now, might actually be Gatling. They are currently in process of getting a Umber online. They have the Rake. Is there anybody else who even has a Rake as of this moment? Not really. So it's not a clear-cut shot here for Gatling, but it's a relatively unobstructed way to do so. So actually, I don't mind that idea that we saw here from Blazin right here, right now. If you think you're going to get beat by it, bring it to your team and just add it to some more Steam fun. So Steam is going to be online. Steam Inferno 6 Fire coming on through as it's going to be Blazin up against Matter 1. Harbinger is now online here as well for Boston is here for Matter 1. Looking at that Jokul, of course, the lower that thing gets, the higher that Omega is going to hit, and it's a relatively fast charging Omega at that. Chews through many, but look at the brutal damage coming out here from Blazin. Absolutely cooking as of this moment. We seem to have another very one-sided battle here. I was talking about how Gatling might be the one sleeper pick, so to speak, but Monster absolutely shuts that down with their own Rake. I say nobody has a Rake, and now everybody's going for a Rake. What the heck? It seems to be the way it is as of this moment. And we did lose Perry. I did not see, unfortunately, but Perry will fall in 7th, right next to their fellow Illuvium staff member, and Rich. Again, thank you both so much for joining us. It's incredible to actually have Illuvium staff members even playing in House League. And it's been a pleasure. I'd love to see you again sometime soon. The next possible kill shot here would be onto Matter 1 if things don't go their way. They did get a pretty beefy fella to try and hold the line here with them. We're going to see Flood on line level 50 at that. All right, the Australians have arrived. Good morning after work gaming and Fred Fox Amarante. Good to see you. Get the coffee because it's ready to rock for the Monarch Masters in just a couple of minutes. We're seeing Monster, though, currently going up against Matter 1. Matter 1 trying to keep themselves in the game, only 10 HP, but there's just going to be way too much damage here, and that will be Matter 1 exiting out of here in 6th place. But again, like I was saying at the very beginning of the stream, Lynx League now gets community rescue support. And I know with a couple of these players, like say Matter 1 in this instance, I know they have a lot of Illuvials that they're still looking to collect, but they got bumped up to Lynx League really quick because they have one team that's super, super strong. That would be too overpowered for Carablu Cup. So again, starting this week, or starting right now, just for joining us in Lynx League, there is community rescue Illuvials coming your way. So we can help build your collection of Illuvials just by playing the game. We did end up losing Gatling as well, as I was on my little monologue there. Apologies about that here, Gatling, but we're going to see them out of here in 5th. A very valiant effort, but now that everybody's kind of going for those rakes, it seems like that's where things kind of ran into a wall. Now we have Kira up against Monster. The Rogues, the Vanguards are online now that this Malura is here. Level 44 and beautiful stats onto this thing too. And we even saw in the top sales of the week, Kira, they were looking for a couple of these big rogues for big moments just like this. And look at this little stab, and it's hanging on by a thread going up after this damn Goliath. A good charm coming out here from the Malura. But while all that is happening, this rake is still going absolutely nuts. And is that enough to take care of Kira? Not enough just yet. 4 HP and a dream here for Kira. Kira has spent everything they can to try and get their best possible team. Unfortunately, the biggest upgrade they could hope for would probably be Slashing. But as we see down here, there's only the 2 Pengus. That's not going to be enough to get the final evolution, even though there is no other Penguins in this battle. Going to be shut down in that regard. And now they have to go up against Lobby Leader. Blazin, ready to rock, has the Scoriox. Was that a level 64? That is absolutely ridiculous. The ace is here, and it's ready to rock. Immediately melting, essentially, everything that it touches, and it is looking super, super good for Blazin. They absolutely cook Kira and knock them out of here in 4th place. Valiant effort once again here, Kira. Very fantastic run. How about G-Hamster and Monster? We see this Riptorus. It is an absolute fiend. Has that Transcendent Relic. Look at how much damn health this thing has. Can it somehow pull off the 1v5? No, the Rake's looking at you. It's like, no, the 1v5, that's my job. Shuts you down nice and quickly. But still, G-Hamster still in the game. Not knocked out just yet. As we hit to an NPC round and we can get a little bit of a better lay of the land as to what we're looking at. This actually ended up being a little bit of a shout out to the Wildfire Guild, because this is an Aegis Wildfire team coming out here for G-Hamster. We see the Blotto coming on through. We've got the Archos as well, pumping all of those stats into this beautiful, beautiful Riptorus. Wrong button. There we go. Offensively, immaculate almost. Just needs one thing of attack speed and it'd be perfect. Pretty tanky fella as well. So watching that Riptorus go crazy is probably going to be the game plan. But again, we're going up against Blazin. Level 8 versus level 8. If I hop over to Blazin's side, what do we see for a potential upgrade? How are we so close to a ramp fire? Things are just going absolutely beautifully here for Blazin, finding essentially everything they could potentially want. They are 2 away from finding Phosphorus as well. 2 big-time carries, tier 5 carries, are right around the corner. But G-Hamster did just find Archelion and a Gnarl. That is a big, big tank line upgrade. But is this Fire Squad, again, 6 fire, so there is damage over time, and damage based off of percentage of max health. As long as it doesn't get blinded, it is in a great position. The Adorito is down here for G-Hamster, but where's the Riptorus? Where's the damage? It's still there. It got its Transcendent Relic off, but it's trapped. Blotto, you're too fat, and it was not able to get there. It got the sting! It got the sting onto it! Beautiful timing. The Arctase is trying to get out a dodge, but G-Hamster is going to be able to take care of Blazin this time by an incredible win. And it looks like Monster's still in pretty decent position here as well. Blazin, which ghost are you going up against? You're going off of Monsters, it looks like. We'll take a look at the live PvP battle as it's going on through. One more Scorpion away here for G-Hamster to land the big bad, land the Berserker, land the Rip Lance, and that could very well just be all the damage this team needs. In the meantime, though, on the other side, I'm going to take a look. Hello, big guy. That is going to be the Rampfire arriving here for Blazin', and I think they're still very, very close to finding the dang Phosphorus as well. This game is not over just yet. Monster are going to be diving on through. I'm looking at the Steam duo. It's a Steam Grilla, and of course, you have the Rake itself. Where's the damage? Let's take a look and see how it's going on. Right now, the Rake's leading the charge, but that little Riptorus is doing a very good job. It is still very healthy. The Transcendent Relic on top of it as well, giving it a bunch of HP and stealing stats as it's fighting. This is looking pretty good, all things considered. Riptorus looking all right, but that was a lot of damage coming on through again from the Ranger. That damn Tidal Shiv is so good at chopping through Illuvials, and it's going to be very, very close, but Monster level 10 as well, going to get the win. And G-Hamster wasn't able to stop Monster, it looks like, as well. They took the hit, and now a lot goes on to this one. There's no credits left. In a worst-case scenario here for G-Hamster, that Scorpion could be sitting there on the bench, and sure enough it is. That is going to be the Rip Lance. It's here and ready to play. That is offensively immaculate, level 50 as well. But they had to sell something off the field in order to get it. Meanwhile, here for Blazin', they've spent the bank as well, but Big Bird is online. Level 41 and absolutely gorgeous. It's going to be a matter of positioning. How long can that Rip Lance stay alive? Does it get into the face of the Phosphorus? Here it comes. It's going to be the first stun from that. Goliath actually gets a stun onto Sinolf, and so far, actually, the Rip Lance did a great job in the corner in being able to deal with these Illuvials. Can it get to the Scoriox? That is going to be the big question, and it in fact does. It has half of its HP still remaining. The one-on-one with the Pterodactyl versus the Scorpion, and the Scorpion stands tall. Rip Lance going to win that one. G-Hamster taking that one. An incredible back and forth here between these three players, because I don't think Monster won the last one as well. Blazin' getting the Phosphorus might have actually been too much. And we'll see, yeah, Blazin's going after the Ghost of Monster right here, right now as well. But we'll watch the live battle in action. The Rogues are getting ready to dive on through in just a moment. Again, 3 Steam online as of this moment. A good entrance here for the Rake to be able to probably get onto that Adorito nice and quickly. A little bit of a troublesome spot actually here for the big healer on that side. Trying to keep that Gnarl alive, keep that Blotto alive is going to be super difficult when you're dead. But that Rip Lance is essentially going through, absolutely cruising, completely uncontested. But now the Gorilla's there in its face. But look at this Rip Lance. It absolutely shredded through the Gorilla. It got the Adorito. This is going to come down to keeping that Rip Lance alive. It is very, very close. But look at that. As soon as the Rip Lance got to that Rake, it absolutely got decimated. The 2 big tanks alongside the Scorpion going to make this beautiful here for G-Hamster. They are on a roll now. And Blazin', I think, was able to take care of Monster's team. So we have one more NPC round to wrap this one up potentially. And again, Monarch Masters, get ready because your match is right after this one. Blazin's got the glasses in chat, feeling pretty good, but I wouldn't get too comfortable. You might have the lead. You might have a pretty sick team, I'm not going to lie. But G-Hamster's a veteran. Mothbuck, Monster's a veteran too. They can absolutely come back to bite you. And now that there's a little bit of an economy in this game here, Monster actually, especially 75 credits still to their name. Big upgrade. Did I see that correctly? Where is it? I saw a seer at one point. I could not see it because it's hiding over here. Big seer online. There is not going to be Behemoth online, though. Instead, it shall be for Inferno. Meanwhile, on the other side here for G-Hamster, there is no upgrade they could potentially get. I saw they were looking. They were trying to get their own Singe. But the fact that, again, the Seer is now online here from Blazin' might just lock them out of here. This is going to come down to an absolute positional masterclass. Big Singe coming on through for a nice additional bit of tankiness. coming on through for G Hamster, because they don't have any opportunities. They have essentially the one shot to try and crack this team. Otherwise, they will be out of here. Let's see how this goes. Riplance directly into that Seer. It got obliterated. The Phosphorus, the Big Bird, it has no phase breaker. It dies super, super quickly. But that Riplance took a lot of damage, and it's going to die before the Transcendent Relic comes out, which means Blazin is going to absolutely shred through G Hamster, knock him out in third place. And Monster did not beat the Ghost of Blazin, so it's coming down to this, potentially a final battle if things don't go Monster's way. They do have the level advantage. They'll have one more Illuvial on the field. And shoutouts, of course, to the Grand Atipo. This little exalted Atipo is still here in a late game scenario. Hell yeah, I'm a sucker for Atipos, regardless of how they might be perceived in the meta. But nonetheless, good to see it there for that additional 4 empath threshold level up. But with a lot of these offensive units being stopped, can this finally be the time? Blazin has been trying week after week. Some beautiful ghosting screams. That Phosphorus just murdered everything that dove on through. And this team absolutely, abysmally obliterated. And Blazin, congratulations. It's been a little bit. I know you've been trying, but you were a winner here in Illuvium Arena House League, here in the Lynx League. Congratulations, mate. You've earned it. It's been a long time coming. GG's. But of course, GG's to everybody. That was an absolute fantastic match. Whew. All right, I'm going to document all this down here for the sake of prizing. Blazin with the win. Mothpucker, Monster. Second place, a solid run. G Hamster for your first time back in a long, long time, making it back onto the podium. That's huge, mate. Congratulations. Then Kira, Gatling, Matter, Perry, Rich. Regardless of what the results say, you all did fantastic. And I thank you all again so much here for joining us. Would love to have you all back again sometime soon. And of course, don't forget, if you are missing Illuvials, the community rescue is here to help. I'm going to be going through everybody's account sometime this weekend, and I'll try to find at least an Illuvial or two that I can send you from the community rescue to help you build your collection just by playing the game. That's of course one of the main goals here for Illuvium Arena House League. And that, I cannot wait for some more. There's the ping from No Cacho. They are ready, so this worked out rather nicely. And let's start building up our final match of the evening. Monarch Masters. Now, I think we have a full house, but in the case where somebody no-shows, Lynx League, do stick around, because you're going to be who I pull from first to potentially fill up that lobby. Okay, in this matchup, again, for our Monarch Masters, we have Badul. We have Draknyan. We have Kirito Hype. We have Nokecho. We have Sota Hype. We have last week's winner, Thanatos. We have Wolverine 777 Hype. And last but not least, Hector. There we are. Sent in the Discord chat. In the Discord, they're saying, my rogues, my rogues. Now, this is what I'm curious about. Because we saw in the Ratty Data tournament, what was it, 2 weekends ago, I believe? And it was on basically the same patch. So, with everything else getting nerfed, rogues didn't need a buff, and they were already starting to climb the ranks. In fact, climbing rather considerably. I believe if I hop on over to the current landscape of the meta, that it's going to show Verdant Vanguard up here. Yeah, sure enough. So Verdant Vanguard for the longest time was like down here. Like, it was an okay build, but it would usually get beat. But especially since last week, this has been climbing rather consistently. So rogues, they can't be knocked down for too long. They're coming right back into the meta. We saw in the Ratty Data tournament, there is about, what, 3 or 4 players in every lobby chasing these damn things, which I know is also another comfort pick team for a lot of our veteran Illuvium players. So I'm curious to see if that happens here in this matchup, or is everybody going to run each other over? We'll see. All right. We are 1 player away from being able to get this one on through. Looks like we're just missing Badul. As soon as Badul has arrived, we will absolutely go for it. We'll give him about 5 minutes here to say something in the Discord. It'll be 5 o'clock my time when I'll start looking for alternates if need be. But again, before we even get into this one, I guess, or get into this Monarch Masters final matchup here, I just want to say again, big thank you to everybody for tuning in, not just to this stream, but over the last months, the last year or so, that I've been essentially exclusively covering Illuvium. It's been an absolute blast hanging out with you guys day in and day out. 5 days a week now is absolutely a blast. Like, again, personally, I make absolutely nothing doing this. My YouTube channel is not partnered. I'm not a sponsored streamer or anything along those lines. I do this strictly because I enjoy it, and I'm challenging myself to kind of just rebuild myself while also just helping build this community. And I'm super, super thankful that everybody's here day in, day out. And just making this an absolute blast. Because if this wasn't fun, I wouldn't be doing it. And yous definitely make it much more fun. Thank you. Not everything's always perfect, but that's okay. Nothing is perfect. Hector, you messaged him? Okay, perfect, thank you. Badul is cool. He lets you get free XP until you're close to beating him, then destroys you. Well, it's very, very nice. I know there's a few people that will do that in ranked modes nowadays, where they'll pull off their like big carry or something along those lines, let you get a couple more rounds in before getting the finishing blow. Especially if they know that they have the massive level advantage on you. Definitely nice, and that's why for Badul, and then for, of course, everybody, give them a couple minutes here to get into game. And one thing I could even check, of course, with the beauty of this tool, are they in game right now? Can take a peek. They are not in game right now. And then small victories. Notice how there's 4 games going on right now that are ranked. Hell yeah. Oh, Badul isn't in game right now, actually. Okay, so that's why they're a little bit behind. They're very close to being done. We'll see. Give them the briefest of moments here. So I hate it when people have to surrender in order to catch the game. Because I know those points are hard to come by. Granted, I know it is also in the early stages of the season. So it's a little bit easier to get points. We'll see. We'll give it a couple of moments. While we are waiting, though, I do also want to give a call out to something I was working on a little bit earlier. when's the battle pass? I mean, according to the dev chat with Perry a couple of weeks ago, the battle pass is being worked on, but again, it's not necessarily being rushed out, right? So hopefully, I'm really hoping that August can be a great month here for Illuvium as a whole. Of course, talks about potentially having an Obelisk Rising playtest is always still out there. I know August has been referenced a couple of times, but it's not necessarily been guaranteed by any means. But it'd be cool to have one of those, and you damn well know if the opportunity arises where I am allowed to stream it or make content for it, I would 100% do so, but of course that is to the discretion of Illuvium themselves, so I'm not going to immediately guarantee that, say that's going to be a thing. But then, say Battle Pass for Arena could potentially come out, just potentially more balance patches coming on through, some changes along those lines. Whatever the additional low-hanging fruit is that can help make Arena more of a standalone game. Because I know we've had our discussions in Arena and in the balance chats and whatnot about Arena, and we know that in a perfect case scenario, the ownership model as it is right now doesn't necessarily make sense for a 8-player free-for-all that is the Gauntlet. It makes more sense for what the real Ascendant was. But I definitely understand trying to get that game mode into an 8-player mode would probably take more time and resources that's available. But they're good discussions, and I'm thankful we're having them, and just being able to make Arena as best as possible, actually having some care to it, because it was never Illuvium 0 level bad, but it was rough there for a bit with Arena for like the last year or two. Okay, pinging Badul one more time here. Hit him with the "you close." They are in game with us here today. There we go. There we go. They have arrived. So perfect. We're going to start things off here. Our final matchup of the day. Good luck. Have fun, everybody. Yeah, good timing. Right on the dot for 5 o'clock. Nicely done. Alright. We'll load in just a second here. Now, if I recall correctly, I think Badul's actually in the lead of this entire ranked leaderboard. In fact, yep, it does look like that is actually the case here. So for the first time in a very, very long time, we're seeing somebody not named Bart or 21 Knight lead. But look at that, Thanatos, Hector, a couple players in our lobby here today. In the top little bit, there's Kirito as well. Draknian. Even Blazen's grinding. Kira? And this is what makes me happy. Because there's a lot of players that are out there that will see like a community event like mine and say that it's not worth the time because I'm not putting in big prize money, big dollars, or something along those lines. And they would rather go play ranked. And it's your decision. You just do what you want to do, or do what you want to do. But it does make me very, very happy when I see top players active in community stuff as well. Like, you're not just a player, you're a member, kind of thing. So, shout outs to all of yous that join, whether it be House League, whether it's being involved on the Discord, or whether it's Ratty Data's tournaments as well. Thank you. Let's load on in. Alright, the gang's all here. Good luck, have fun. Wolverine has a perfect custom game versus ranked split, 50-50. That's kind of funny. There we go. All right, our final matchup here for today's House League for Week 18. We have our Monarch Masters main event. For our players here today, we've got Hector from Mad Dogs. We have Sota Hype. We have Thanatos, last week's winner. We have current ranked ranked leader, Badul. We have No Cacho. We have Kirito. We have Drakyen. And we have Wolverine 777 Hype. If I recall correctly, if I quickly reference my screen or my sheet off screen here, Sota, if they manage to win this game, no pressure, Sota, but you would then tie Robert Tacho for the most winningest player in Illuvium Arena House League across all divisions. So that is definitely something that could happen here and now. Of course, Thanatos as well, looking for maybe 2 in a row if they can get the win here. Kirito won maybe about 2 weeks ago, looking for a big win here as well. A couple players looking for their first, and Hector, I believe, as well, looking for their first after getting second and third so many times. That and much more coming on through here in just a moment. Our region here for our final matchup is going to be Crimson Waste. We're not going to get the damage, we're going to get the level boost. We're going to start at level 3. That's why even though in those early rounds we usually have maybe 1 or 2 Illuvials, we had so many more right off the rip. Drakman going to end up winning this one as we get into our weapons. Let's take a look as of right now. I was expecting to see a lot more rogue than this, but let's see. Sota, going to be picking up the Elderwood Staff. Kirito, the tried and true, their Aqua Blasters here, ready to rock. Draknien as well has the weapon they like, given their main team composition, Elderwood Staff in hand. Flameborn Staff in hand here for Wolverine 777 Hype. No Ketcho also going over for the Elderwood Staff, it looks like. Badul, the only one going for air in this instance, is going to be holding the Gale and Bow. We do have Thanatos going for the Vinebound Cleaver, but they're not going to get away with rogues very cleanly because Hector is right there as well. But they've got the Quake Maulers. They've got the Earth version of the rogue team. Did I miss anybody in there? I don't think I did. I don't think so. I think we're good to go. Round 5 will ride with Wolverine and Hector. Wolverine with a big old kitty in the front here. This is a nearly level 60 Stoic Lynx. You don't see that very, very often, and you're not going to see it very long in this battle either because that poor little kitten just absolutely died. Unfortunate there for the side of Wolverine. But one thing that's doing absolute work are the rest of these rogues alongside this Fury in the backline that has a bunch of offensive augments extremely early. So Wolverine going to take the win here over Hector. Let's take a look at our other rogue player in this instance with Thanatos. Thanatos was also not able to get the win there over No Cacho that time. So both of our rogue enthusiasts, as of right now, are going to be taking a little bit of a beating. But let's go with our current lobby leader. They're going up against Hector, Kirito. Let's see what's going on. Potentially some sort of tsunami going on through here. Kirito has absolutely been enjoying the tsunami as of late. We saw them win with it a couple of weeks ago, and they're already set up for some potential Tsunami Harbinger action. They've at least already got the Harbinger online. And then for Hector, of course, they're going for a little bit of a rogue-esque kind of play, but they don't necessarily have any of the Predator Illuvials online just yet. It's going to be relying very heavily onto the double Lynxes, which do some pretty solid work, but at the same time, Kirito also running the double Lynxes with the Harbinger. That's going to be a much better composition for the time being, so Hector going to take a little bit more heat. And then Badul, how did that go? They were able to get the jump here onto Sota, so a big win here for Badul. NPC round, let's take a look and see what everybody's cooking with. We do have No Cacho off to a lot of spending to start things off, Badul not far behind. Very interesting here for Badul. They've actually picked up a Alfie extremely early, level 5. That's like a 1% chance to hit a tier 5. So a nice little pickup there for Badul. And again, Alfie's early stages, while they do hit multiple targets, they kind of tickle them. They don't necessarily chunk by any means just yet. So it's a pretty cool tier 5 pickup, but it's not going to be the end of the world, I don't think, just yet. In regards to who's on top of the economy side of things, Hector and Draknien and Sota, all within a couple coins of each other here. Nobody maxed out on economy, but a few of these players very, very close. Let's roll with Drac as they go up against Badul. Drac, of course, really enjoys an Aegis-based corner composition style that revolves around protecting the Scoriox. But can they actually find the Scoriox? It's usually very contested. In this battle here versus Badul, I like the fact that even though they have a couple of the pieces of that corner composition, that they would rather spread things out, don't take spread damage for free here versus the Alfie. Double Lynx is coming on through, and that Valente actually going to get the jump onto the Ranger. The Ranger dodges the Omega, though, from the Valente, and that's kind of huge. That's going to allow for that Flish to actually... No, never mind. It hangs on for a little bit longer. But no, too much damage coming out here from Badul. They'll take care of Drac this time. Kirito versus Nocacho. This battle's still going on. Nocacho actually not in a bad spot, all things considered, though. The Archos is keeping everybody just alive enough to get in there. So a nice little win here for Nocacho. Gonna finally stop the win streak of Kirito. With Kirito's win streak gone, it means the only player currently on a major streak of sorts is going to be Wolverine777. Badul has a small one going, though. And let's see, first versus third as of this moment. We'll take a peek at the economy side of things as well while they're loading up for this battle. The double Lynx, it's like 3 Lynxes on the board here, if you include the Stoic one here for Wolverine. Badul up to level 6, Kirito up to level 6, Wolverine up to level 6. So now's the time, apparently, to hit the gas. Stoic Lynx in a pretty decent spot right up against that Grocko, going to stun it, keep the rest of those Lynxes from getting stunned. Good damage. Valente does not get its Omega out in time. Good defense from the Kukaloose to be able to shut that down. But the rest of this front line is very, very hurt. This Fury should be able to get there, but a beautiful charm. Everybody tip your supports. The Quinks going to make sure that that Fury does not run away with the match and just allowed for everybody else to just wail on the big DPS carry. Because of that, now Badul is going to be in the lead of this lobby. They're going up against Thanatos now. And of course, the big moment here for the rogue players are trying to get level 7 as quick as possible without necessarily blowing the bank. That, of course, gives you the best possible scenario of being able to hit those tier 3 units. Get the Lallura, get the Slashin as best as possible, because those Vanguards will take you essentially a very long way into the game, if not the entire game. But how about Badul? Can they take care of Thanatos' rogue squad? There is 4 rogues here, so that is a lot of crit currently on the side of Thanatos, but it's still a very squishy squad. But look at the little Revo. It's holding the line very nicely. A essentially perfect Revo coming on through. I don't think I've ever seen a Revo go in a 2v1 scenario and win this. It's not, unfortunately, it's not going to be able to do it this time by valiant effort there from Thanatos' Revo, but the duel is going to be able to hold the line thanks to the little flare and the Lynx. Harry wants to leak Overworld live play after the match. Please say where, and we'll go over. I don't know if YouTube has necessarily a raid feature like, say, Twitch does, but I gladly direct traffic over there immediately. Zajac, good to see you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Everybody rocking so many Lynxes. That's the tried and true here for competitive Illuvium. Getting the 2 Lynxes and using those to allow you to build your team as best as possible. Big moment here for both of our rogue players. Both of them just secured the stab in, so they can at least get 1 Vanguard online. We'll roll in with them in just a couple of moments to see how that one's going to be going, because how the rolls go in their favor or not, I do believe will be a big moment for the entire game, and not just the battle of the 2 rogues. As it stands right here, right now, though, Badul looking okay as long as that Alfie can get a good shot and keep those Lynx alive. They are very, very low. Heck, the Monk here right in the face of that Archos as well, doing a decent amount of damage at the same time. The Lynx will stand tall, and Nocacho going to take the hit. Badul, our ranked leader, going to lead this lobby too. In the Discord. Okay, so y'all, you didn't hear it from me, I didn't hear it from Rich, but maybe we should go check out the Discord a little bit after this matchup. NPC rounds coming on through. Let's take a look with our rogue players. So Hector probably the most unluckiest player I have seen in Illuvium, not just in Arena, but in Deathmatch as well. But let's see how they're doing as of this moment. I know they got cooked a little bit last week, because while everybody else had stab-ins, they were stuck with a slap-in, not even the middle stage evolution. But as of right now, again, they do have the Granite Vanguard about ready. As soon as this Scarabok gets up into the Goliath, Granite will be online. So not only is this a high DPS team, but it'll be a very tanky team at that. Did I see this correctly? Composite chips. Oh dear. The legendary game, or the legendary chips that we were seeing in the last one, is not going to be the end of the craziness here today. And Rich can confirm this is the final match of the day. Yes, yes. All right, so let's watch Hector for this time by. Let's see what they've cooked up. Did the composite chips go in their favor? As of right now, I don't see it on the board at all. I see the empath chip, but that cannot be it. That's what I thought. There it is. Vanguard imprint. Best case scenario here for Hector. They can get 3 Vanguards stupid early and potentially go for 4 if all things go in their favor. Let's see how Drakian holds things off. Were they able to get their favorites, the Aegis chip? I don't know, can't tell right now, because everything is just getting absolutely cooked. The rogues are here and ready to rock. Big damage coming out here from Hector onto Drak, knocking them down to the bottom of the lobby. Fortunate here for Drak. Again, their team composition needs a Snake. It needs the Furiox. It needs Scoriox. Without it, there is not much damage. We saw a lot of those damage augments were actually onto, I believe it was a Fern or a Fernite. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was just a little baby Fern. So the damage isn't there. There's so much tankiness, but the damage to fight back against these rogues just aren't there just yet. Now let's take a look at Thanatos. What did they cook in this instance in regards to their composite chip? I don't see anything as of this moment. Here we go. They're going to dump all of the Illuvials onto the floor. Are they trying to go for Revenant chips maybe instead? If all of a sudden Hector's going for Vanguard, maybe go for Revenant instead. That is exactly what's coming on through. And sure enough, the setup that haunts my dreams still from patch 1.12, the Revenant chipped Pangu coming online. But it has to be a slash and to truly utilize it to its full potential. But at least doing it this way. Yes, finding Malura is huge to get Vanguard then, but you can still do without. You have the 4 Revenants. Reduce attack speed as much as you possibly can. Let's get a better angle here onto this one. We see the little Rampy going to completely nuke that Caradulo. It does go down. The Lure is going to be short to fall, but the Revenants are still standing tall, including the Penguin in the back line. A little battle here with the Thylacine, and the Riptorus is not going to go in the favor of the Thylacine, but with this stab and still standing tall, big win here on the side of Thanatos. Keep themselves alive. No, Cacho going to be knocked down low into 42 HP. But let's take a look, give a little bit of love here towards the top of the lobby. We have Badul versus Sota. We haven't seen Sota in a little bit, so let's take a look and see what they're cooking. We do have Verdant, actually, the composite chip of choice in this instance here. We're going to see them bunker up, since it looks like Badul is also just starting to pick up some rogues just to essentially splash into the team. I did not think that Badul was going for a rogue team in the slightest, but if this is going to throw a wrench into everything that Thanatos and Hector are doing, then solid play all around. Let's see how Badul can do this. This is this very tanky squad coming out here from Sota. The Verdant Puddles, will start to see them get dropped very, very quickly. I think the Twine was the first one to drop it. And of course, that Singe, while it may be a bulwark, once it starts spinning like that, it's a DPS unit at the exact same time. And the Rake, the Lalura, they are both going to just jump directly into a brick wall. Sota, fantastic defense, going to allow them to stay at the top of the charts here in our final match of the day. But Wolverine still has something to say about it. Are our top 2 currently in action? It looks like they are, but at the same time, Drak might be in position for an early exit here. They have not been able to find a single Fury. That is absolutely abysmal luck, if I would say so myself, unless they could finally maybe get it online. You can see the augments onto the Fur Knight. Like, this screams Furiox setup, but unfortunately, no snakes to be found. The little Shoebill is going to have to somehow carry versus Badul's very high DPS squad. They're going to immediately blow a hole through that Grocko, so that was pretty solid, but the Lalura got directly into the middle of the entire team. Did some pretty decent damage, all things considered. That is going to be the verdant puddles coming on through from both the Ranger and the Twine, but the Twine might not be able to hang on for much longer. Does end up going down, but Drac has been able to hang on for at least a little bit. Good shield coming out here from the Ranger. If they could somehow cook this ramp fight, or this Rampy, maybe things could go their way, but it's not going to be the case. Is that enough for Drac to get knocked out? No, they're going to hang on for just a bit longer. 3 HP, still in the game. Finally here for Drac, the Fury comes in the last possible second. And thankfully they have an NPC round, recuperate, reposition. This is a very awkward spot to be in because you need essentially perfect Illuvium now. But at least you can have your corner composition built the way you want. It's just a matter of getting the Illuvials you need. Finding the evolutions, finding the damage, finding the tank. The pieces are here. Do not tell me that was another composite chip. We'll see in just a moment's time, but of course everybody's got to start cooking right now. NPC rounds. Nocacho versus Drac. Okay, so evolution for Drac for the Singe. Wolverine also going to be finding a Singe here into this one. Badul's starting to steal some penguins as well. They're really trying hard to make Hector and Thanatos' life a living hell, trying to steal their main carry. Few Fur Knights being picked up as well. Thanatos having one for a little bit of additional support for those rogues. Sota adding it to a very heavy nature squad, looking good there. Drac going to spend the credits to actually level up to level 8 as they're going up against Nocacho, who is also level 8. And considering most of Drac's damage is coming from fire Illuvials, they should have the type advantage for the most part, at least against the majority of these Illuvials coming out here from Nocacho. This is a 7 nature for toxic comp, but again, because of the toxic, there are still a couple water Illuvials here. It's just a matter of if that Fury can find the right targets, find them quickly. I do like the fact that they do have the Disruptive Force Reactor already online. Get the True Sight. They made that Crunk's Blind completely meaningless, so that Fury has been able to just open fire. Even as just a little baby Snaky, it is going absolutely crazy. It's hypered up and ready to rock at the same time. Talk about that yellow bar around everybody. Additional attack speed, additional attack damage, and damage taken reduction. Big time play here for Drac to keep themselves in this lobby. But now Drac has to go up against Wolverine versus a team that is meant to blow you up extremely quickly. Not to mention the actual thorn in the side that is this Furiox that is built to snowball the longer this game goes on. With so much fire, 4 fire, 3 inferno, up against a relatively heavily nature tank line, this could mean a little bit of trouble here for Drac. And of course, since there is nobody diving in either, that Furiox essentially has all day to just pump damage into Drac's squad here. The only thing that could potentially even be chip damage going over towards that Furiox would be the Fur Knight Tornado, but even then, that's very, very minimal. The Inferno is procced. Here comes the damage. Can Drac somehow withstand this onslaught? The double AC 130s flying above, going directly towards the poor little Fury. They might end up going down for their troubles, but there's still damage over time. Big shot from the Ranger just absolutely blew up the Fury and whipped that Drac's chances at winning this game. They will fall in 8th place with Nocacho short to fall as well. GG's to the both of you. Love having you on here every single week, and would love to have you back again sometime soon. Regardless of the results, I hope you had fun today. I know you've had some bad luck in the past trying to get up to Furioxes, but that was definitely probably some of the worst luck I've seen in a long time here for you. So I hate to see that end up happening to you. again, after, or Druckian, after we're gaming, you see them over here. Where's the chat? Over here. In the chat, they're one of the few other people in Illuvium that do actually stream themselves play the game. Make sure you have them subscribed as well. I think they'll be streaming, or they would have streamed earlier this morning, actually. So make sure that you give them a shout too, and come say hi. Badul could potentially be the next one out of here. They got that beautiful behemoth Rip Lance, actually. That is bloody terrifying. But it has a lot of beefy bodies in front of it to try and chew through. You see that Toxic Skewer, considering it does a bunch of damage based off of how tanky that Illuvial is able to chew through that Gnarl relatively quickly, all things considered. But there is still a bunch of this backline nicely shielded up. Can the Rip Lance dodge the damage? It's onto the Archos. Gets it. Can it get to the Fury? It is not going to be able to do so. Rampfight already blew its Infernal Skyfall. But now the Furiox. It's onto the Fury. Good shots here coming out here from the green side. Sota. It's onto the Fur Knight to try and carry. And it looks like the support from the Ranger as well is going to be just enough to knock Badul out of here. Your ranked leader going to fall in 6th place. GG's. Badul was very thankful you were able to join us here today. Would love to have you back again sometime soon. And Joe's ready. My pleasure. And thank you so much for the positivity. Same to you, Drac. Now, Hector could be the next one on the way out, and we do see the fact that Thanatos, of course, was going for rogues. The fact that Badul was splashing in rogues to their team, it slowed them down so badly to the point where, yeah, they're 3 away from the Malura, but the slash-in is not even close. Let's see what Hector can do versus this very beefy squad of Sota. We saw them hold the line just barely in that last one, but there is no ramp fights here. Or never mind, I lied. It's at the very, very bottom. It's getting the 3 tanks. It did do some pretty serious damage, but look at that Rejuvenasis coming out here from the Archos, able to heal everybody within that bunker and keep everybody out thanks to the root as well. The corner composition coming through to perfection is going to be able to hold this, I believe. A valiant effort here from Hector, but the rogues were contested, and with that, Hector can only go so far, and 5th place will be the case here from Hector. A valiant effort as always, Hector. GG's. An NPC round to come on through at essentially the last quarter of the map. Maybe we could call it the halfway point. I mean, I don't know. Nobody's truly running away with this lobby. We'll see. Wolverine spent a ton before the NPC round even actually finished. That is the Jotun. That is the Seer. Both behemoths are on the side of Wolverine now. And with Hector down, the Laluras and the Stabbins will be back in the pool. Let's rock along here with Wolverine and Thanatos for this one. Big upgrade here for Wolverine as well. Scoriox is here. We've gotten to see Scoriox 3 games in a row today. Very, very popular Illuvial, looks like, here today. But now Thanatos, they've spent the bank as well. They don't find the Penguin, but holy hell, did they find an upgrade still. That is going to be the beautiful Umber coming on through. We also have Malura coming to join us here as well. A beautiful, almost perfect one at that. Now, while one team has a bunch of damage, at the same time Wolverine has a bunch of damage, but they have a lot of support. The double behemoths coming on through. Stun's going to be coming out here very consistently. It's just a matter of keeping the Danger Noodle safe. The Scoriox on the left-hand side just firing away. But look at how fast that tank line just absolutely evaporated. So many upgrades here for Wolverine, and it's still not going to be enough. Thanatos going to be able to get the knockout blow here onto Wolverine. A 4th place finish for Wolverine. GG's. As always, a pleasure seeing you on the battlefield. Hope to see you again sometime very, very soon. Sota with 6 HP now. With there being so much high damage at the same time, it seems like the heals might just not be coming out quick enough. And look at Kirito. They are essentially right where they need to be. When they have the Aqua Blaster and they have Tsunami, they are right at home. And they've even made 4 enchanters out of it. That is absolutely incredible. But let's take a look at our live battle right here, right now. Both players have essentially spent everything. Thanatos still has about 11 left in the bank. But the one additional thing coming out here for Thanatos is the fact they have Spore. So any of those Illuvials that rely heavily on getting their Omega out will be hindered rather significantly. But the Adorito here for Thanatos is essentially going to get melted pretty quickly. Never mind, actually. The Furiox is having a hard time actually burning through that Adorito. It's finally going to fall, but look at this. All the rogues now are directly onto the tank line, directly in the face of these backline players as well. Good Wraith Strike going to take that Furiox for at least a little bit. This is actually so close. As long as that tank line can hold, it might be doable. But look at the Malura. It looks like it's barely even been chunked. Sota will fall in third. So we are down to some heads up Illuvium, and Thanatos is going to win the race for the Slashin. Of course, there is still the possibility. There's enough penguins in the pool as a tier 3 that you can get 2 fully evolved Slashins on the field. Just your chances at doing that are super slim. One thing that's also super slim chances is actually finding the right tier 1 that you want when you're level 9. It's like a 10% chance to find even a tier 1 at all. And a big final upgrade. Kukaraf, the stun bot, is here. And watch this just completely flash pink. Epilepsy warning incoming with the amount of pink that we're going to see flashing with all these enchanters. But can these Rogue Revenant squad from Thanatos breach what Kirito has going on? It doesn't look like it so far. That Rampite tried its damnedest, but now it's stunned. The Kukulus, or the Kukaraf, is right there. And as the Malura falls, that will be Kirito knocking Thanatos down to 5. There is no more NPC rounds unless Thanatos can win 2 in a row. There is no breathing room. It's make the move and make the move now. The 4 Revenant is very good, but as we can see, it is not unbeatable. Thanatos has 12 credits to their name, but there's nothing they can do upgrade-wise except level, and I'm not sure if they necessarily have enough. Kirito, on the other hand, 1 Alfie away from getting Dual F with plenty of life available to them as well. Let's bring out the charts. Let's get a better angle onto this battle live as it's going. Sinolf beam directly into the Fur Knight after a fantastic charm. Ramp fight to the skies. That Infernal Skyfall nearly takes out the Rip Lance, but as the Umber falls, this might very well seal the deal. One more heal for the Flood as it goes down. The Malura is the last one to stand, and with that, Thanatos shall end up falling. Kirito, for the 2nd time this month, will be a Monarch Masters main event winner here in Illuvium Arena House League. Congratulations, Kirito. What a finish here today. The Rogues looked like they were onto something, but Kirito was right at home with the team they like, the team they love, and the team that they've obviously practiced the hell out of. They didn't even need a Tsunami chip to make this work. They turned that into an absolutely incredible Enchanter-based team. I hardly ever see 4 Enchanter, and we saw it here today with this winning team. Congratulations, Kirito. Thanatos in 2nd place, the winner of the Rogue battle, sort of speak. They hung on the longest, nearly had it there with that Revenant style, but it just was not enough to get through Kirito. But a 2nd place, that's an awesome one. Sota back in here, back on the podium here with a solid 3rd place finish with a very tanky team. Wolverine, lots of firepower, especially that final battle, but could not hang on long enough. Hector, a little bit better luck compared to the last week, but unfortunately, Rogues got contested again, and they weren't able to find the pieces they needed. Gonna get them a 5th place finish here. But Duel, with a very interesting mixture of trying to contest what a lot of people were doing, but in turn was not necessarily able to get to the team that is necessarily looking for. Still, nonetheless, happy that they were here. Happy that everybody was here. And this one, Drac, of course, as well as Nocacho. Thank everybody for coming in and joining us here today. As always, regardless of the result, I just hope you had fun. Get everything written down before we close things out here for today. So Kirito, I am not only going to put this into the charts, but I will add that to your winner's circle tally, because I know I didn't put you there originally after the one 2 weeks ago. And of course, I was Thanatos and Sota wrapping that one up. All right, there we go. We're all documented and good to go. So in regards to the Illuvium House League prizing, from last week, Texan, I still need to send you the Illuvials from your pack. I'm going to do that as soon as I log off here. I'll get that situated. Then for the community rescue for the Lynx, or not for the Lynx League, but for Carablu Cup, I am going to have those for you Saturday morning. And then Lynx League now also gets community rescue prizing. I will do that this week coming up. But for all the stuff that was won here today, during this week in Illuvium next week, so Wednesday's stream. At the end of the stream, I will be opening up the packs through Illuvium Deathmatch. I then send it to my wallet. The next day, I fire those off to all of you. And then you can use them for your own arena teams. You can use them in Deathmatch. You can put them on the Illuvidex. Once they're yours, they're yours. You do what you want with them. But especially for some of our newer players, this is the perfect opportunity to get some Illuvials that maybe you were missing in your collection. So thank you all so much for coming in and joining me today in House League. Now, if I recall correctly, I think Rich or a little bird, or maybe it was a duck or something, I can't remember, was saying that there was supposed to be some Obelisk Rising live gameplay demo or something along those lines happening in the Discord. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to ask the duck. But apparently, if you go to the Discord right now, there might be something a little bit special going on in one of the stage sections. So I'm not gonna hesitate too long so that we can get that underway. Again, also big thank you to Illuvium themselves for providing the skulls necessary for these packs for the prizing, so I don't have to do anything out of pocket. Massive thank you to them for supporting community events like this, whether it be my House League, whether it be the Ratty Data tournaments. Thank you for supporting community events, and I very much so look forward to seeing what this new potential tournament or event could be sometime in the near future that Illuvium is hosting. Of course, big thank you as well to everybody for tuning in, whether you're just watching, whether you're competing. Fridays are always a highlight to my week, and it's thanks to all of you. And I'm very thankful that you all are having an absolute fantastic time with it. I try my damnedest to improve on it as best as possible, make it as fair for everybody as possible. I don't hit the mark every single time, but I try my absolute best, and I'm still having fun doing it. So I'll say at the very end here, before you head on out, before you go to the Discord, check out the potentially Obelisk Rising playtest. We'll see what's going on there. Drop a like and a subscription here on the channel. I'm doing my damnedest to try and build this channel strictly off of Illuvium and its universe of games, and it's been an absolute blast. And as long as I'm having fun doing it, regardless if it makes sense monetarily, I'll keep doing it. I'm enjoying it. Hanging out with you all has just been an absolute special time to me, and helped reignite the spark that I lost like over a year ago with my old job. So thank you so much, everybody. Let's quickly hustle on over. Let's not keep Perry waiting. And I will see you all on Monday for the stream. We're going to go back to 5 days a week of streaming. Topics, still trying to figure out. But I'll be back Monday, no matter what. Take care, everybody. See you in the Discord.
Woke up tired, didn't sleep all night. Mine's still running like a traffic light. Red for stop and green for go. I'm stuck somewhere in between them both. Brushed my teeth and checked my phone. Everyone looks like they've already grown. Smiling faces, perfect lives. I'm here asking, what am I doing with mine? I don't have a plan, I just have today. Trying not to throw the little good away. Heart's still heavy, but I'm still here. Taking one small step through the fear. I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. I'm scared, but I'm still showing up. One small step is enough today. I'm not fine, but I'm on my way. I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. I'm scared, but I'm still showing up. One small step is enough today. I'm not fine, but I'm on